All right, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Karibuni sana. Good to see you all here. Welcome to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Of course, with the Afriforex team, hope you're well from wherever it is that you're joining us from. For the sake of guys who are joining us here for the very first time, Karibuni sana. Welcome to the home of pips and good vibes. So you can join us every morning with the same link, especially for the guys who are joining us here on Zoom. You can join us with the same link that you did use to join us here today. And you'll definitely find us here. For the sake of guys who are joining us on socials, especially on YouTube, feel free to also join us and also rewatch as many times as you want to, in case anything is not clear. And also remember to give us a like and a subscribe when you're also there. That does also end up helping our channel out. So John is my name. I'm a trader with Afriforex. Afriforex is a trading unit. So we also do have Mitch here. He is working in the back office. So in case you do have any questions, feel free to ask them both on the Q&A section and also in the chat box. Mitch will definitely be getting back to you. But I will also be looking at the questions more specifically in the Q&A section, but towards the very tail end of this session. So that's pretty much it in terms of the housekeeping. So I think we can get down to business. So we'll start off by looking at the watch list as always. So you can see the watch list right there. And for the third day running, it's been copy paste. The only thing that has been changing is the date. So you can see we're more or less watching out for the exact same things as we were watching out for yesterday and the day before. There have been a number of news events that have come out, especially yesterday. Some news events did end up coming out early this morning, but there is no change in terms of the biases. So we'll still be keeping up. But of course, today there will also be a lot of news events that will be coming out. In case anything does end up changing, then we'll definitely let you know on the Telegram channel. So just make sure that you also do join. In case you haven't, there should be a link in the chat box. So you can see there will be some CHF news events coming up at around 11, which is during the London market open. And you can see a lot of news events, especially during the London session, and of course, moving into the US session as well. Number of CPIs you can see there for the euros. Could expect some movement, some GDP news events right there. So we will see how things end up going. But I think it will be quite an interesting day on the charts, just like yesterday was. So since everything is more or less the same, we can start off by looking at some screenshots we did end up getting yesterday, and quite a handful of them, and we're really happy. So shout out to everyone who did end up sending in a screenshot or two. So we'll start off with this one from Alvin. So Alvin, if you're here, shout out to you. This is on the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So I can see you got a really good selling opportunity on this one, somewhere as close as possible within this region. That's where the sellers were. Can't see that the market had calmed down, came back in. You did survive this pullback that did happen here. And I can see that when the market started to come down, your stop loss came down, which is really good. So shout out to you for this one. But of course, when the price is down here, maybe even your stop loss could be somewhere within this region here. Just making sure that you're securing a bit more. But this is really, really good. So shout out to you for that. And of course, Alvin, do keep up the good work. So we also did get a trade from Caroline Moher. You're here. Shout out to you as well. So this is on the Great British Pound against the Canadian dollar. Really good buy. Yesterday we were watching out for buys. Good to see you got the buy on this one. Stop loss above your point of entry as the market was moving high up in your favor. So shout out to you for that, and keep up the good work. So we also did get a screenshot, or a couple of screenshots from Caroline Kissini as well. So this is on the Great British Pound against the US dollar. So I can see you got some buying opportunities down within these regions here, which was really good. Stop losses, I can see already above your point of entry, which is good. And of course, as the market was moving up, I'm definitely sure you're watching out for problem areas where you could run into issues with the opposite party, the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. Can see that you got some really good sells on this one, high up within this region here. Stop losses below your point of entry for both trades, I think. And of course, as the market is coming down, definitely sure you're watching out for areas where you could run into issues with the opposite party. So shout out to you for that. And also on the euro against the Canadian dollar. So I can see you got a really good buy, or some two good buying opportunities on this one down within this region. Stop losses within that area right there. And hopefully did watch out for this region at the top. But this was some really, really good trading going on, Caroline Kissini. So keep up the good work. So you also did get the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Something similar to what I got, but we'll end up looking at that in a bit. But I can't see that you got the sell on this one somewhere within there. And I can't see that once the market started to move in your favor, stop loss already below your point of entry. And of course, those CPIs for the AUDs that came out earlier today did end up helping a lot in terms of moving that currency pair. So shout out to you for that. So you also did get the Great British Pound against Canadian dollar. I know we got this one when we were quite a number of us, of course, in our sniper community. And it's also good to see that you're not left behind on this one. So very good buy within there. Stop loss already above your point of entry as the market was moving high up in your favor. So shout out to you for that, Caroline Kisini, and of course, keep up the good work. So we also did get a couple of screenshots from Dan Bickett as well. Also a real sniper on the charts. So this is on the US 30. So you can see you got a selling opportunity somewhere within there. Stop loss beneath your point of entry, which is good. Of course, I can't see the levels right there that you are watching out for, but at least once the market started to move in your favor, I can see that you did manage the situation quite well. So shout out to you for that. The euro against the Canadian dollar, can see a very good buy somewhere within here, something almost similar to what we saw in Caroline Kisini's trades. And I can see that your stop loss already above your point of entry as the market was moving up. So hopefully you did manage your trade within there. But at least those buyers had really come up quite aggressively, which is really, really good. So shout out to you for that. So moving on into the next one. This is the UK 100. I know, Dan Bickett, you love trading indices. So also on this one, I can see that you did get a sell somewhere within there, stop loss already beneath your point of entry, which is good. But in terms of where you got the sell, that's very, very good. In fact, when you end up looking at the market structure here, definitely a range. And you got the sells high up as possible, high within that range right there. And I can't see the market is coming down. So this is really good. And also good to see that, especially after we did discuss that trade with you and the rest of the snipers, you did jump in on it. But some of us are yet to take a leap of faith and possibly end up trying out some of these indices that you do trade, but that's really well done. So shout out to you for that, Dan Bickett, and keep up the good work. So we also did get a screenshot from George Shegen, if you're here. Shout out to you as well. So this is on the Great British Pound against the US dollar. Very good buy down within this region, especially if you got it on the pullback. This was really good. And I can't see that as the market was moving high up, stop loss already above your point of entry, which is really, really good. So shout out to you for that. And of course, keep up the good work. So last but not least, we did get some screenshots from my good friend, Mark Pingori. So this is on the Great British Pound against the Canadian dollar. Can't see that you got a buy on this one. Somewhere within this region here, you did manage somewhere within that region and you continue to move higher up with this one. But I can see that you also did manage somewhere within here and you're hanging on stop loss already above, way above your point of entry, which is quite good. So shout out to you for this one. Mark, of course, also a sniper. And of course, I know that you're targeting high up within that region there. And I can see that the market did get there. You did point that out yesterday as we were doing the analysis together. So that was a very good call. So shout out to you for that, Mark. And good to see that you're still hanging on to that trade. So last but not least, we did get a screenshot also from Mark. So this is on the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So I can see that you got a buying opportunity here. Can't see that you managed when the market came in within that region, went higher up, managed also within that region, and I can't see that your stop loss is already above your point of entry. So shout out to you for that as well. So shout out to everyone who did end up sending in a screenshot or two. I know yesterday there were quite a handful. The markets were also quite good yesterday. So shout out to everyone who did end up getting in a trade or two or sending in a screenshot to us. But I know that there are also many of you who are also trading, because I mean, there are very many people who are here and also watching online. So I know there are lots of silent listeners here. But of course, if you can end up also taking a leap of faith, I don't think we'd mind seeing your screenshots here and also celebrate your wins with you. So our contact details are there on the chat box. Feel free to send them in to us and we'll give you that much needed shout out. And of course, in case you do need some help, then we can also give you a lending hand. So that's pretty much it in terms of what happened yesterday. So I guess we can end up shifting gears into matters today. For the sake of guys who are just joining us, you can see that the watch list is more or less the same. So we'll do the recaps as we also end up looking at what opportunities we can end up getting today. So we'll start off with the Swiss franc pairs, mix and match them up with anything on the sell, move on to the Great British Pound pairs, the Euro pairs, the USD pairs, and as always, finish off with the indices and the commodities. So the first one off the line, this is the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. For this one yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So these are the three areas I had pointed out where we could have possibly looked to see whether we could have gotten those selling opportunities. So aggressive, conservative, semi-aggressive, conservative there. In the morning, price was somewhere within this region here. And I had pointed out that hopefully we did get the market coming back in within this region here. Then we could have looked for those selling opportunities within this region. And you can see that the buyers came up quite aggressive. This was during the London session, right? And you can see that when the market came in within here, there was an attempt, of the buyers to actually take out these sellers within this region here. And when the market did actually end up coming back into the downside and actually held within here, it did seem like it was a good time, to actually end up looking for that selling opportunity. And you can see that the market did end up coming down. Although it did slow down within this region, but at least the CPIs, there are some CPIs that came out early today for the Australian dollar. These ones did really end up bringing in, the much needed weakness that we did want to see. And you can see that the market did actually end up coming to the downside quite well. And at least this trade did actually end up coming down all the way to within there. So similar trade to what we saw on Caroline Kissini's trade. I mean, we had discussed this trade before, so it's good to see that she actually did end up getting the trade somewhere within this region at the top, which was really good. And of course, I also did end up getting that trade. Let me see if I can retrieve that screenshot. So here it is. So this one, I took the screenshot early morning. You can see right there, 6:40 in the morning. So I'd taken the trade yesterday. The market slowed down within here, but of course, to mitigate the risk, I put the stop loss just above this region right here, because I thought maybe the market might just spike up within this region, and it did, but it came so close. I nearly got stopped out, but at least it did actually end up paying off, and you can see that the market has come down. So I did manage the trade here. Of course, brought the stop loss a bit lower. Let's see if maybe we'll end up continuing to move lower. But I'm also well aware that there's this region right here that we need to watch out for, because, I mean, you could easily find the buyers coming back in. They've come in from within that region before, so you can't live in utopia, just assuming that the buyers will not end up coming in from within that region. They actually can't. So let's see what happens. Either the market breaks this region to the downside. Let's see what happens, because you could find that maybe the market might even come back in within this region here. There's a possibility it could. If we do end up getting the market coming to the downside, especially after it taps within there and we get these big sellers showing up, there could possibly be another entry within this region here moving to the downside. So let's see what happens on that one. Alternatively, what could happen, could also find the market coming back in within this area here, because, we're not too sure whether the market might start to range, because you can see that it's bounced off this region before, come up. Right now, it's back within here. So if it does come back up, then there's a possibility we could get another sell. Maybe something similar to what we got yesterday, somewhere within this area here. So let's watch out for that. Let's see what happens, but also watch out for the region at the top. It's a bit of a long shot, but of course, considering also the fact that we do have some Swiss franc news events that are going to be coming out, we're not too sure what might end up happening. In as much as maybe they might come out strong, we don't know, but you can't quite tell what the big boys might be up to. So we'll just have to wait and see. So that's pretty much it in terms of the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten sells. Can clearly see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here, and I pointed out it wasn't a good time to look for the sells. The buyers were just coming in, and you can see that they pushed the market all the way back in within this area here. The market broke to the upside and really attempted and struggled to hold above this region. Then the market came to the downside, held within here. You can see that it decided to come to the downside. Although it couldn't come down fully, there was some sort of an SNR within this area here that was really giving issues. But you can see that today, during the Asian session, the market has come down. So could be something maybe also to do with the CPIs that came out for the Australian dollar. Maybe the effect also did end up cutting into the New Zealand dollar, because they tend to move together most of the time. So for this one, let's see what happens. The market is still holding within more or less the same areas. So let's see what happens. But definitely the best selling opportunities right now, based on what's happening here, are definitely somewhere within this region here. And there's a possibility we could find the market actually coming back in, within this area here, maybe for some proper selling opportunities. So you could watch out for that. But of course, if it doesn't, and let's say the market reacts off this SNR and comes to the downside, then you're better off trying to see whether you can actually end up getting your selling opportunity somewhere within this area here. Because coming down, unless maybe you can get some proper risk to reward, it might be a bit of a trick. Because here we're only looking at 8 pips. And of course, now to get a proper risk to reward on that one, especially if you're just looking at 8 pips, might not really be sufficient. It might be a bit hard. So just wait and see what happens. But of course, remember the red SNR at the top. In case the market comes and finds its way back in within that area, then we can also try and see whether we can get, some aggressive selling opportunities right there. So the next one, this is the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the 3 areas right there that I had pointed out. And in the morning, price was here. It wasn't the best of times to look for the buy. And you can see that the buy really struggled, pushing to the upside. We're hoping that hopefully we could have gotten the market coming back in within this area here. But more or less the whole of yesterday, the market was contained within this region right here. So hopefully today, we will end up getting some big boy buyers hopefully showing up. You can see that yesterday, they were nowhere to be seen. Maybe they might need the Swiss franc news events to possibly end up coming in, to maybe end up activating their buying opportunities. So let's wait and see if that ends up being the case. But we're still really watching out for this region here. I think there's a possibility price may just come back in within this area. And you can see that we still have that alert there that we had also ended up setting yesterday. So hopefully we can get the market pulling back in, maybe incite a bit more sellers to come in for the buyers, these buyers right here to maybe kick in and possibly attempt to push the market to the upside. So let's see what happens. Of course, the market can break above here. It's not uncommon and it's not something that would be surprising, but we do need to see a strong breach because they've broken here before, come back in, but unfortunately they couldn't really hold. And when I look at how far the market has come back to the downside, it's not really gone far beyond this region right here. So there's still a possibility the sellers might actually end up coming in and the buyers could be going for a much better price, somewhere within these regions. Because I think there are lots and millions of stop losses that are somewhere within this area right here. So the market might possibly end up coming in within there. If it does, then at least we do know that the best buying opportunities will definitely still be somewhere within this region right here. So let's try and see whether we can get that. But of course, the buys at the top just need to be a bit more careful about them. And also remember the region at the bottom as well. You can also end up getting some buying opportunities there. So last but not least, for the CHF pair, this is the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some sells. And you can clearly see the 3 regions right here that I had pointed out. So aggressive conservative, semi-aggressive conservative here. In the morning, price was here. And I pointed out that you shouldn't really be looking for the sells unless maybe we get the market coming in within this region here or somewhere within here. But there was also some sort of an SNR within this area right here that I guess the market just needed to come back in, tap within that region, and you can't see the turnaround. The sellers, the big sellers did actually end up showing up. Could have been a good sell coming in off this region here, coming down. I saw it, but unfortunately I didn't end up taking it because I was already in on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc and the Great British Pound against the Canadian dollar. So this one I just watched it, but it's good to see that my friend Caroline Kissini did actually end up getting a good number of sells high up within here, coming down with it. So shout out to you for that. So for this one, for today, the levels are the same. So you can see that the sellers came down, they've slowed down within this region here. We are expecting maybe the market could come down. So in case you did also end up getting any sells high up within there or somewhere within here, there's a possibility and a high probability the market will be hitting this region right here. But let's wait and see. It's either the market breaks this region to the downside and we get a pullback coming in for us to look for the sells within this area here, or in case this region does end up reacting because there's some sort of an SNR within this area here. Let's say the market just taps in within here but still holds within here. There's a possibility we could find the market back within this region here. And I mean, if that ends up being the case, then the best selling opportunities are definitely somewhere within this region. Because you can see that even when the market went to the upside, came back in, it didn't quite retest within this region. Yeah, it tapped within this area, but this might be a bit too small, especially for the guys who are looking at it on the bigger time frame. So there's more or less a high probability that the market could be coming back in within there. If it does, then at least we also should be ready for that as well. So watch out for that. Also watch out for the region at the top, a bit of a long shot, but like we always keep on pointing out, you're better off being ready with something and not needing it rather than needing something and not having it. So just keep it there. So let's see what happens. So that's pretty much it in terms of the CHF pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the GBP pairs. So we're going to mix and match them up with everything on the sell side. So we'll start off with the Great British Pound against the Australian dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten buys. Clearly can't see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. And I pointed out that let's wait and see if we can either get the market breaking above this region to the upside. We at least get some sort of a pullback, then we could look for the buys. Unfortunately, the market broke. There wasn't much of a pullback. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the price coming in within this region. But you can see that the market went up, came down. The big sellers showed up. At one point, I thought maybe we were going to get the market at least coming down. But the buyers really maintained, within this region here. And you can see that they did push the market to the upside. The only pullback that came in was just within this SNR that the market had formed. The market just held there and pushed itself to the upside. So for this one, for today, we're still going to be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. Let's see what happens. And you can see that the market has gone up even higher. And that is definitely something to do with the Australian dollar CPIs, that came out early today. So you can see that the market, that weakness has come in. But instead of looking for the buys higher up within there, let's see if we can at least get some sort of a pullback coming in. So if we at least end up getting the market, coming back in within this region here, there's a possibility it could, let's say during the London session. Right now we're holding more or less within some sort of a resistance area at the top. When the London market does end up opening, hopefully the London big boys can actually end up pushing the market to the downside. And hopefully the market is somewhere within here, maybe at around 4:30, around those times, you possibly could end up getting a good buying opportunity. Because in any case, you can also see that there are buyers within this region who push the market to the upside. So remember, it's always best to look for buys where the buyers are. Like we always say, buy with buyers, sell with sellers. That increases the probability of your trades working out. So let's see if we can get that. Of course, if the sellers are non-reactive and non-responsive, then we will have to wait and see if we can end up getting the market hopefully breaking above this region to the upside. If that does end up happening, then on the pullback, then at least if the market is backing within these regions, at around those times, then we could look for those buying opportunities. So watch out for that. And also watch out for the region at the bottom. That's going to be the last area where we will be trying to see whether we can get our aggressive buying opportunities. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we were also trying to see whether we could have gotten some buys. So you can see the three areas right here that I had pointed out. Also an illustration of what to expect. Unfortunately, the pullback couldn't come in. The market just held within here, broke with the upside. Unfortunately, the market didn't pull back in within here, to actually end up getting those proper buys. But you can see that the buyers continued to rally up quite aggressively. And of course, moving into the Asian session, you can see that they're still pushing to the upside. So let's see what happens. There's a high probability we could be getting the market to come back in somewhere within here, especially if we get some sort of a deep pullback coming in. There's a possibility we might just get the market coming back in here for some sort of a retest. So in case that does end up being the case, then just make sure that you're ready for that. But of course, right now, based on the fact that the market is holding here, then your eyes should be locked on this area right here, because this is definitely the most recent support to the downside. So you could find the market coming back in within that particular region there. So just make sure that you watch out for that. But of course, in case the market breaks and holds above here, you could look for those more conservative buying opportunities. So watch out for that. And of course, make sure that you also have an eye out for correlation. I mean, if you see a pullback happening on one of the currency pairs, also make sure that you do have a look at the others, just to try to see, is it the GBPs that are pulling back, or is it the, the counter currency pair that's pushing it, so that at least you're also well aware of what maybe the big boys could be up to. So just make sure that you also factor that in. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the Japanese yen. So for this one yesterday, We're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So yesterday morning price was here. It took off with the upside. Fortunately, we couldn't get something proper to tell us to look for the buying opportunities here, but you can see that the buyers really pushed up quite aggressively, went up, broke above here, and right now the market is more or less fooling around, this region that we had yesterday. So there's definitely some sort of an SNR that's somewhere within this region that you need to watch out for. So you can't see that the buyers are coming in. But of course, in terms of looking for the buys, don't really look for the buys here, because I mean, even if you end up getting the buys here, let's say the market comes down again within this region, you're not really going to go far. I mean, you'll just be taken for a ride, because the market is clearly playing some sort of a ping pong game, between the level at the top and this one right here. So you don't really want to sign up for that. So you're better off waiting for the market to either break above this region to the upside. If that happens and the market pulls back in within here, this buy right here will be less problematic compared to looking for the buys somewhere within this region right here. Alternatively, of course, if the sellers do end up reacting and the market comes to the downside, you still could look for the buys within here, somewhere within this region here. But the best way to approach it is, in as much as you could target here, you'll definitely need to watch out for this area here, because the market could easily come in within this area and then bounce to the downside. But at least if the buyers do come up aggressive and they actually break above this region, at least if it holds above here, then at least at that point in time, you'll be out of the woods. So just make sure that you watch out for that. But also remember the region at the bottom. I mean, in case the market does come back in all the way till within that area, then at least you should also be ready for that. So the next one and the last GBP pair, this is the Great British Pound against the Canadian dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out, and also an illustration of what to expect. So in the morning, price was here, and I pointed out that we did need to see the buyers come up aggressive. Then hopefully we got that last pullback coming in, hopefully, and just watching out for the times, possibly could have been a buy. So when you end up looking at the detail of what happened on this one, of course, in the morning price was here, the buyers showed up. You can see that move going up. Then after that, the sellers really slowed down. And that's when I ended up timing this buying opportunity somewhere within this region here. Almost got stopped out, but I did survive. But some of us are real cowboys on the charts, because I was waiting in case I did get stopped out, then I was definitely going to jump in on another buy somewhere within here before the market went up. And I mean, it was quite a tight stop loss of about 13 pips, as you can see right there. And at least the market did come up within this region. So giving a 1:3.48. But you can see that the market did actually end up going up much, much higher. And of course, shout out to Mark Ingori for that. He's the one who pointed out that he was targeting way much higher with that one. So at least a number of us jumped in on this particular trade. So you can see Caroline right there at least got the buy somewhere within that region there. So that was really, really good. I think Caroline Mohe as well. I think you did also jump in on the trade as well. We had a look at it. So more or less the same price that you did end up getting. And I think also Caroline Kisini, if I'm not wrong, did also end up jumping in on this same trade. So we more or less got it more or less the same price, which was really good. But shout out to Mark for at least pointing out that maybe the market could have definitely ended up going up much higher. So got the buy there, went up with it, managed within this region, still hanging on to this trade, waiting to see how much more further we could end up going. Because I mean, the buyers have really showed up. There's a lot of weakness that's already there on the Canadian dollar pairs, which is good. So it's just a matter of waiting to see if maybe on the pullbacks, we could possibly end up getting the market maybe going up higher. But right now, we're more or less testing the high in terms of the daily. And I think that's the region that Mark pointed out. Personally, I was just targeting here, but after we had a chat, pointed out that maybe the market could be going up to 1.809, which is, I think, the daily level that the market is currently testing. And actually, the market did get within there. So there's a possibility we could find the sellers coming in. But of course, if we do end up breaking to the upside, then at least on the pullback, we definitely could end up getting some more conservative buying opportunities within there. But we're definitely within some area where we do have a strong resistance. So in terms of looking for the buys on this one, hopefully we get the market pulling back within this region here. Just clear that. So hopefully we get the market pulling back in. There's a possibility it could come back in within here. If it does, then I'll definitely be trying to see whether it could end up jumping in on some buys within there. But also on the other hand, I mean, if the market can actually break above this area, you've already seen that it's a daily resistance within that region. If we can actually break above it to the upside, then of course there could be some more conservative buying opportunities. But there's a high probability we could get the market coming back in within here. So we'll be ready for that. And of course, remember the red SNR at the bottom. In case the market finds its way, back within that area, then we can also possibly try and see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So let's wait and see what does end up happening. So that's pretty much it in terms of the GBP pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the Euro pairs, mix and match them up with everything on the sell side. Do the exact same thing. So we're going to start off with the euro against the Australian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So the three areas that I had pointed out were right here. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting price to come back in within this region. It did. You can't see that the market just came back in, tapped within this area quite fast, and off this region, moved to the upside, broke above this area. There was some sort of a pullback that came in back within the same region, although this was early in the morning, and you can see that the buyers have continued to push the market up. And of course, definitely a lot to do with the AUD CPIs that did actually end up coming out this morning, that weakness coming in. So for this one, we'll be waiting to see whether we can get the pullback coming in. Hopefully, we can get the market maybe coming back in as close as possible within here. We could get some buys. There's also a possibility price could just come back in within this region. So you could also watch out for this area right here. I mean, if the sellers can't get all the way down here, it's definitely an SNR within this region. And the market does seem to be in some sort of an upward trend. So this is also not a bad region in terms of looking for the buying opportunities. So just make sure that you watch out for that. Of course, remember the red SNR at the bottom. In case the market comes all the way there, you could still look for the buys. But if it breaks and holds beneath that region to the downside, then unfortunately, there will be no trade for us. So the next one, this is the euro against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could have also gotten some buys. And you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. So it was either we break above here or come back in within here. And you can see that the market came back in within this region right here. The buyers showed up. You can see that the sellers pushed the market to the downside. And you can see that after that, the market did actually start its journey, to the upside, broke above here. And you can see that there's been a hold within here before the market continued to push to the upside. So this one also was a good buy. I did see it, but unfortunately, I didn't take it because I was already in on AUD-CHF and GBP CAD. But yesterday, the charts really did give quite a number of options and opportunities, which was really good. Hopefully, today is also going to be the case. So for this one for today, these are the three areas we will be watching out for. So we've adjusted them, of course, taking into consideration the story of price. Let's see if we can get the pullback coming back in within here. And of course, the pullback has already started, which is good. So hopefully we can get back in within this area here. And if we do, then maybe we could try and see whether we could get some buying opportunities there, managing our trades within that region there, but also watch out for this region right here. It's a bit of a long shot, but in case the market comes back in within there, then at least also be ready for that as well. So the next euro pair, this is the euro against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buys as well. And you can see the three regions right here that I had pointed out. So in the morning, we're expecting, hopefully, price was going to come back in within here. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the market went to the upside. And you can see that the market fooled around within this region. There was this SNR somewhere within this area right here, where the market did actually pull back and tilt. But you can see that after that, it's like there's been a lot of inactivity within this region. So there's a possibility either the market could attempt again to come down, because definitely there are many people who are also looking for the buying opportunities within here. I mean, many people can definitely see that this market has been going up. And, like we know based on statistics, 95% of people lose because they trade the obvious. So right now it's very obvious that the buying opportunities are definitely starting to show up. You can see that the buyers are showing up within here, but this could also end up being a trap. Best case scenario would be if the buyers are really there, we need to see them possibly end up pushing the market to the upside. If we can get the pullback coming in, this buy might be better than attempting buys here, because even if you attempt the buy here, you'll definitely end up having to go against this seller who's sitting within here. And you can see that there are definitely a bunch of sellers who are sitting within this region here. So you might actually end up just getting taken for a ride within this area here. But at least if the market can break above here, then maybe on the pullback, at least you could possibly end up attempting that buy. That might give you lesser issues. Alternatively, if you can get the market pulling back in, and I hope it does, definitely throwing out quite a number of guys who are hitting buys within that region there. The market could come back in either within this region here, or possibly maybe even all the way down till within this area. The same area that we were watching out for yesterday. And this will definitely incite a lot of, sellers to definitely come in, all the late buyers being taken out. By the time the market comes back in within here, a good number of them would have even forgotten about the buy. Now they're going to be chasing the sells. And when that happens, that's when you possibly find the buy happening. So let's just hope that happens. And of course, do watch out for the region at the bottom. I mean, in case the market finds its way there, then also be ready for that. So last but not least, in terms of the euro pairs, this is the euro against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, the bus was to try and see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here. The pullback did happen. Price came back in within this sort of buyer's region, attempted to break to the downside, came back in here. Then you can see that after that, the market completely took off from within that region. So this one worked out pretty well. Good to see that I think it was Caroline Kissini who did end up getting a handful of buys down within that region there. If you're still hanging on to them, that's really good. Let's see if we can join you on those buys, and of course, in terms of pushing the market to the upside. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for. There's a high probability we could get the market coming back in within here. Of course, you can see that the buyers have pushed up. They've slowed down within this area. Maybe they're waiting for some sort of a big boy. So at least if we can get the market even moving up higher, it's okay. Don't feel any FOMO, the fear of missing out in case the market breaks above this region to the upside. Let the big boys do their job, the hard task of breaking the region. At least when the market pulls back in within this region, try and give yourself the soft life, as far as trading goes. So wait for the pullback. When the pullback happens, then definitely you can look for the buying opportunity within this region going up. So also watch out for this area here. There's a high probability we could get the market coming back in somewhere within here, and it wouldn't be surprising to find the market, back within this area at around 3,430. Because when the market broke above this area, you can clearly see and visually see there was no retest back within this area. So there's still a high probability we still could find some proper buying opportunities happening off this area right here. So just make sure that you watch out for that. And of course, remember to watch out for the times. So it's 10, which is the Frankfurt market open, 11, which is going to be the London market open, and we have 3 and 4:30. So right now, considering the fact that price is holding here, it might still be within this region, during the London session at 11, and then maybe the pullback could happen. Then maybe at around 3, 4:30, that's when you'll find the market somewhere within here. And these buyers who pushed the market up yesterday could actually kick back in, and you could find the market moving to the upside. So you just need to be patient. So watch out for that. Also remember the region at the bottom. In case the market finds its way there, then at least you could also end up looking for some opportunities there. So last but not least, we're going to look at the USD pairs in terms of the currency pairs. So we're going to mix and match them up. So we'll start off with the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the 3 regions right there that I had pointed out. So aggressive conservative, semi-aggressive conservative, somewhere within this area here. Yesterday in the morning, price was here. I did expect maybe price to come back in within this region. Unfortunately, just came shy of that area. I was really timing another sell coming down. Unfortunately, I couldn't get that. The market came, held within here. And of course, you can see due to the CPIs on this one, the market has come in low. I'm still hanging on to this AUD USD from the day before, of course, after managing the trade. But let's see what happens. Currently, stops are somewhere within here, or my stop is somewhere within there, just hiding behind that seller who's pushing the market to the downside. But at least since right now the market is pulling back in within this region here, let's see what happens. If there's a possibility to end up getting another opportunity within this region, I think this could be some proper selling opportunity that could be coming in. So let's see what happens. Of course, the sell that I got was high up within there. So stops within here still secured a lot. And also when it came down, I did end up doing a lot of money management within here. So not too worried about that. But at least if we can get another opportunity within here, then that would be good. But of course, in case the market pulls back in deep, then there's a possibility there could be, the market could be coming back in within that region there, but also watch out also for this region right here as well. It's a bit of a long shot, but I mean, you never know what the big boys could be up to. So let's just wait and see. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities as well. So the three areas that I had pointed out are the exact same areas that we do have today. So if we look back at yesterday, price was within this region. We're expecting maybe, the buyers to push back to the upside of this area and hopefully get something. You can see that they really attempted. This was during the London session. The market went up. The sellers showed up quite aggressive. The market bounced off this region, and you can see that it just pulled back in somewhere within this area right here. So there's some sort of an SNR that's holding within here, because you can see that there's been quite a lot of, big sellers coming in. You can see how the market got rejected within this area here. When it came back again, back within this region again, you can see that the sellers did actually end up coming in quite aggressive. So definitely we know there are sellers within here. We want to get the sales as close as possible within here. So even if, let's say, the price doesn't come back in, within this area, there's still this region right here that we could possibly try and see whether we can get some selling opportunities. So the buyers are coming up quite aggressive, but we're not going to be afraid. I mean, we've also seen the same on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So I guess it could be something to do with the USDs, most probably, but we'll definitely have a look at the others as we're going down. But so far, I'm starting to get the idea that maybe it could be the USDs. So let's see what happens. If the turnaround happens, then at least make sure that you have a look at the other to try and see what happens. But you could find the market back here, maybe at around 4:30, and you could find some proper sales happening. So let's see what happens on this one. Of course, remember the red SNR at the top. In case the market finds its way there, then also make sure that you're also ready for that. So the next one, this is the US dollar against the Japanese yen. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas right there that had been pointed out. In the morning, price was here. I was expecting that last spike to come in, and I think I pointed that out. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I guess once the big boys showed up, with this candle right here and the market held, I guess this was good enough and these prices were good enough. And you can see that the market did actually end up pushing to the upside of that region. So for this one, for today, let's see if we can end up getting some proper buying opportunities within these three regions right here. We still do have an alert somewhere within there. So we're expecting maybe price might actually come back in within this region. There's a high probability it will, because even yesterday, that's more or less the same area that we wanted to see whether we could have gotten the buys. You can see that the spike came in. Unfortunately, couldn't come back in all the way till within here. But we're thinking most probably we could get that happening. There's definitely an SNR here that the market has been holding and giving some sort of issues, because you can see that even when it broke to the upside, this SNR has been holding. The buyers have attempted to go to the upside, but it's still more or less holding within here, but also because we do have a resistance, just above that area that could be giving issues. So hopefully we get the market coming down within this area here, then at least we could possibly end up getting, some proper buying opportunities within this region. If we do end up coming back within this area and we can actually break it to the upside, then you can definitely manage your trade, within that area there. But at least if the buyers do come up aggressively and we break above this region and at least get the hold above, then I think at that point in time, there's even a possibility we might even end up taking out this region right here, and you could find that the market could actually rally to the upside. So let's just hope we get that pullback. Of course, just getting more sellers to come in. Remember that we need them, to do business. You can't be doing business with buyers, because you need the buyers and the sellers, to end up doing business. It's like when we had the quill madness in Kenya, I think like 8 years ago, everyone had quills. So you're trying to sell quills to me, I'm also trying to sell mine to you. So we can't end up doing business like that. We need the opposite party to actually end up coming in. So hopefully that pullback comes in and that ends up inciting the sellers, and of course the buyers can actually end up looking for the opportunity. So last but not least, in terms of the currency pairs, this is the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday the bias was to try and see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, when I'm looking at the charts, price was somewhere within this region here. I wanted to see the pullback come in. Unfortunately, it couldn't come back in all the way to within here. But you can see that the market turned off this area. There's some sort of a support region, somewhere within here that the market, did actually end up turning off. The buyers went up, the sellers pushed back down. And you can see that after the breach pullback, and the market has continued to rally up. So this one was a bit hard in terms of getting clear and a proper buying opportunity. But let's see if we can get something much more clearer today. So we will be watching out for these three regions right here. So let's see what happens. Right now, you can see that the pullback is starting to happen. Hopefully, we can get the market breaking or coming somewhere within this region. But at least we do need to get the market as close as possible within this area here. If we can actually end up getting that, then that would be good. At least we could possibly try and see whether we could get some buying opportunities there, maybe 3-430. So let's wait and see what happens. So also watch out for the region at the bottom. We have adjusted, of course, the areas, based on the story. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for. If the market breaks beneath this region to the downside, you can see that this was the low of yesterday. Then unfortunately, might mean that the big boys are possibly not interested in buying today. So just make sure that you also do watch out for that. So that's pretty much it in terms of all the currency pairs. So for the sake of guys who come in late, feel free to take note of what the plan is going to be looking like today in terms of the watch list, but it's more or less the same as what we did have yesterday. So looking at the indices and the commodities, so we'll start off with the NAS 100. So for this one, yesterday the bias was to try and see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. And also remember, when it comes to the indices and the commodities, we're always 100% technical, in as much as we know that the fundamentals do end up affecting and coming into play from time to time. But we knew that for as long as we're holding above here, the bias was to look for buying opportunities. Price was somewhere within here. Remember, I had pointed out that the buyers did seem like they had showed up within this area here, but the market really struggled, within this area before they did actually end up eventually showing up, off this region right here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the market pulling back in within this region. But you can see that from around 430, the market did actually end up rallying to the upside quite aggressively. The indices and the commodities normally tend to move a lot, especially during the New York Stock Exchange. So it's not very uncommon to see that even for this one, the market did actually end up moving yesterday quite aggressively. Unfortunately, we couldn't get some proper pullbacks, because you can see that when the big boys did actually end up showing up, the market just rallied north quite aggressively. So for this one, let's see what happens. Some sort of pullback seems to be coming in. Maybe we could find the market coming back in somewhere within here, and I hope it does, because it seems like the best buys could be somewhere within this region, because this level is also quite visible on the bigger time frame. You can clearly see that when the market rallied north, there's definitely some sort of an SNR here that the market might just come back in for some sort of a retest, before it goes up. So for all the guys who normally trade the NAS 100, make sure that you do watch out for that. But of course, for as long as we're holding above the red SNR, the bias should be to try to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So the next one, this is the NAS, the US 30 rather. So for this one, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some sells. You can see the three areas right there. So in the morning, we're expecting maybe the market could have possibly just tapped in within this region, maybe get a hold and possibly end up getting the sell. The market turned off this area right here, came down, but you can see that it still came back in within this region, spiked up and came to the downside. Although the sellers do seem like they ran out of steam, somewhere within this region right here, but also due to the fact that it does seem like there are definitely a handful of buyers who are also within this region. You can see that the market did react off this area to the upside, yes, the day before and also yesterday. So this is a bit of a danger zone in terms of looking for the selling opportunities. So it's either the market breaks beneath this region to the downside, and you actually wait for, that confirmation that the market has actually broken to the downside. Don't be trigger happy in terms of jumping in on the sells. You get the first candle that breaks to the downside, you're already in on sells. Remember that the market has already attempted to break to the downside within here, and there are definitely quite a number of breakout traders who've been caught within this region. And I wouldn't be surprised, the same guys who got caught here and here are definitely going to be caught up somewhere within here, because it's very funny how trading works. The same way you got stopped out yesterday is the same way you're going to get stopped out today, last week, exact same way last month, because the human brain, somehow, before you actually end up learning to stop doing something, you need to go through a lot of pain. So you will find that the same guys who got stopped out on breakout sales within here are possibly going to be signing up here. So just make sure that you're not part of those guys. Make sure you wait for the pullback and the hold. If you get that, then you could possibly try and see whether you could get the sell. So watch out for that. You never know if the buyers could push the market to the upside. They do. There's that level there. There was this region right here that I had pointed out that on the way down, you need to watch out. And to some extent, it has been in play, because you can't see the number of times that the market has been coming back in within here, either to the upside or to the downside. So you could find that even if you get the sells here, you definitely will need to watch out for this region, even if you could be, targeting down within here. If you get the sells within here, if you're really good at trading, and you're a real sniper on the charts, the likes of Dan Bickett and crew, you could possibly end up getting a sell within that, possibly end up coming down, but you'll definitely need to watch out for this region right here. So watch out for that. Remember, the red is enough. For as long as we're holding beneath that region, then we should be looking for those selling opportunities. So moving on into the next one, this is silver. Now for silver, yesterday the buyers was to try and see whether we could have gotten some sells. You can see the 3 areas right here that I had pointed out. And in the morning, we're expecting price to come back in within here, possibly end up getting some selling opportunities coming in. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. In as much as the sellers did seem like they were going to show up, but the buyers, I think the way the market stepped into this region right here was a bit too much for the sellers. And you can see that they really struggled within this area. It went to the upside. The sellers did attempt to come to the downside, but you can see that the buyers somehow did actually end up slowing down within this region, but the sellers are still quite adamant. So this one is in a bit of a catch-22 situation. Reason being, right now, we are not very sure whether the market will actually end up breaking and holding above this region to the upside. And I will show you on the 1 hour time frame why it's a bit of a tricky one. For this one, the clearest, or let's even start off with what the plan could be in terms of the sells. There are definitely a bunch of buyers who are pushing up within this region right here, because you can't see that the market has attempted to come lower, but the buyers within here are definitely giving issues. And, on the mini scale of things, these are definitely the guys who are in control. So it's either the market comes down, if it breaks beneath this region to the downside, I think this region right here could end up posing a challenge, because even if you end up looking for the sells within here, you'll definitely need to watch out for this area. I mean, if you can't clear this region to the downside quite fast and the market starts to hold here, you definitely could actually end up coming out of your trades. So the reason why the sell maybe could still be in play is also because if you end up looking at the market structure, you can definitely see that we're in some sort of a range. So since we're at the top of the range, we definitely know it's best practice. Sell at the top of the range, buy at the bottom of the range. Since we're at the top of the range, maybe this could be a probe to maybe end up inciting. And if you look at how those sellers are coming in, that's the reason why we're saying we just need to see more of what happens within here. You could attempt some aggressive sells. I mean, it's the aggressive area. So you could attempt some aggressive sells there to calm down. But if you can't get past this region to the downside, you're not yet out of the woods. So that's in terms of the sells. Now, in terms of the buy, considering the fact that the market has just broken above this region, but it seems to be holding just within this area right here, I think if we can possibly end up getting the buyers, if they indeed they're going to show up and the market actually breaks above this region to the upside, if you get that pullback coming in, I think after that, if you look for the buys, then at least you should be safer with your buys. But generally within this area, you could find that you could end up getting caught up on both. Either you're looking for the buy or the sell, you might end up getting caught up in losses on both. So it's a very tricky situation within this region right here. But generally, if you end up looking at it the way I'm interpreting it, and hopefully you're getting it, if either the market breaks above here, you could look for the buys, because this will give us the confirmation that generally we've entered the buys. But within this region right here, it's like no man's land. So you're neither here nor there. So it could be a bit of a tricky situation, and of course sells down within here. But generally we know this area right here is the top of the range. It's just that these buyers a bit too adamant. So hopefully if they can give up, then we should look for the sells. In case they don't, then we'll wait for the breach to the upside, then we'll keep up with the buys. So I hope that that is clear. So last but not least, gold. So for gold, yesterday the bats was to try and see whether we could have gotten some buys. These are the three areas that I had pointed out. So aggressive, conservative, semi-aggressive, conservative. Here in the morning, price was within this region here. And I had pointed out that there was some sort of a small range that had happened within here. And I pointed out that if you look for the buys here and the market struggles to get past here, you should manage your trade. So you can't see that the market came down. If you got the buys here, you didn't need to manage here. And remember, I pointed out this was like, I think 92 pips or something of the sort. But you did need to manage your trade within this area. So about 80 or so, you did need to manage your trade within that area. The market came down. Consider the market spiked low, came in, held within here. If you attempted the buy, you can't see that the market did come up. Definitely, you did need to manage your trade once again within here because you are not too sure of what was going to happen. But eventually, you can't see that the buyers really came in quite aggressive and push the market to the upside. And generally, we're definitely at a new high right now. So gold has been making new highs week after week. So even this week, we definitely do have a new record. So this is definitely the highest price, gold has ever been, like ever. So definitely some history in the making. So these are the three areas we're watching out for. In the morning when we were looking at the charts, price was here. So we wanted to see if price was going to break to the upside. And, of course, for gold, we're keeping up with the levels, each and every day, because, it's making new levels each and every day. So right now, since the market has broken to the upside, don't end up chasing the buys within there, like many people in the world are doing. Just wait and see if you could get the market pulling back in within here. If you do, then at least you could attempt your buys. First problem area is definitely going to be somewhere within this region. If you clear that, you don't really know where you're heading. So you just need to make sure that your money management is also on point. As the market is moving up, you're also trading. So watch out for that. But also watch out for these two other regions here. In case the market pulls back, then at least you can also end up being ready for that as well. So hopefully you take a note of that. But the bias is to try and see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So I guess that's pretty much it in terms of everything. So let's have a look at the Q&A section to see if there's anything. So I'm not really seeing much, which is okay. So I guess everything is clear. Of course, in case anything is not, you can also run through the whole webinar on our YouTube channel. So you can run through everything. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. You can jump through maybe bits and pieces that you did end up missing out. And of course, hopefully that does end up giving you value as well. So I guess that's pretty much it from me. I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the morning. So if you do get any trades, also remember to send them in to us. Us guys will definitely be more than happy to see what you guys are up to. You do have our contact details. They're there on the chat box. If you do need any assistance in terms of your trades, also feel free to reach out to us, and we'll definitely also see how best we can end up helping you. So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. For the guys in the AMP, see you in a bit. God bless, and bye for now. May the peace be with you.